Hi there, I'm Claire Feldman of Eatology and welcome to video 4 in my mini-series of steps to overcome binge eating. So in this video, in step 4, I'm going to be talking about overcoming your food anxiety. Sometimes I kind of call it the food police with clients. And this is basically your thoughts about certain foods. And if you are somebody who really struggles with yo-yo dieting and binge eating, I have no doubt that you probably have a list of foods in your mind that you perceive to be no-go, and that you simply can't have them because they're really bad, or if you have them in the house that you're going to eat them all. And we really have the diet industry to thank for this one, because really ever since the diet industry has come about, it has brought all of this attention and all of this focus into calories and calorie counting, and with the release of so many diet-based products and fat-free and sugar-free, we just get so completely confused about what really is the best way in which to eat. And I think with so much confusion and so much misinformation about food in particular, is that we can start to have quite distorted thoughts about food and distorted views on food. And quite often, certainly with a lot of the clients I would see, is that carbohydrates is one that definitely gets a bad rap, and then obviously more refined foods like sweets and chocolate and things like that. So it would be really common for me to see clients that have kind of food journals and food diaries, and there's no pasta and no bread and no rice on it, and things like bars of chocolate are absolute no-goes. Now, the thing about seeing foods in that way as being good or being bad is that you automatically attach moral judgment to it depending on the way in which you eat. So if you're eating in a way that is very much kind of clean eating, and it's all very healthy and it's all fresh and it's, you know, it's really good, and you think you're being really good, that you may feel a bit smug and a bit superior. And then if you eat in a way that is not aligned with that, and you eat something that you perceive to be a bad food, then it attaches a lot of guilt and perhaps a lot of shame to it. And something I really try and help clients to see and to get to a place of is that we should not have moral judgment attached to the food choices that we make. You know, you should only feel guilt over when you have intentionally caused harm perhaps to someone, or intentionally hurt someone's feelings. You shouldn't feel guilt over a food choice or a way in which you're eating. You shouldn't feel guilt over it. So when I'm working with clients, I try and gradually expose them to their feared foods. And when I initially talk about giving yourself unconditional permission to eat, I mean giving yourself permission to eat the foods that you truly want to eat and that you really do enjoy, without giving yourself a hard time about it. There will always be huge amounts of fear and huge amounts of anxiety around it. And, you know, if I was to get you to imagine, if I was to tell you that, say, calories didn't exist and you didn't know anything about nutrition or healthy eating, and you had full reins to eat whatever you wanted, what kind of foods would automatically come to mind? And you might be thinking, oh, well, if it was unconditional, then I would just eat donuts, because I love donuts and I never allow myself donuts. And then what I want you to do is, I want you to imagine if you had unconditional permission to eat donuts, and so you had a donut for breakfast, you had a donut for lunch, maybe you had another couple of donuts for your dinner. If you were giving yourself unconditional permission to eat donuts, then that was the food that you really thought, if I'm allowed to eat these, I'm just going to go for it. How far do you think you would get until you would become pretty sick of donuts? And that's the thing, that we fear eating these foods because we think that the floodgates will open and we won't stop. But the reality is, if we give ourselves unconditional permission to eat these foods, initially there might be a surge in you eating these foods because you get carried away with yourself because you've been restraining yourself for so long. But the novelty does soon wear off, and when you tune into how you really feel in your body, eating those kind of foods all the time or only eating those foods actually ends up making us generally feel a bit rubbish, and we start to crave more nutritious food. So the work that I will do with clients is about gradually exposing them to these feared foods and learning really that nothing bad is going to happen and that they are able to eat these foods and enjoy them in moderation. The problem comes when we attach personal and moral judgment to them. So if you imagine that a lot of the time, if you struggle with binge eating, that perhaps you spend a lot of your time restricting and denying yourself certain foods, the brain doesn't like to be told that it's not allowed to eat certain foods. So if, for example, you have told yourself that you must never eat a donut, and you're saying, I'm not allowed donuts, I can't have donuts, they're so bad, they're so fattening, they're terrible, and I can't have a donut, what your brain is actually hearing is, I want a donut, you better give me a donut. And it increases the desire and the allure and the craving to have a donut. So ultimately that's why we end up often binging on those kind of foods as well, is that because we think, well, if we're going to binge, then we're going to go all out and have all of these foods that I'm never allowed, but also because you've deprived yourself and you've denied yourself that of course you're going to want to binge on those kind of foods because your craving for them has gone absolutely through the roof. So what I would advise you to do is think about what are the foods that you do not allow yourself, that you don't give yourself unconditional permission to eat, and write them down on a list perhaps of in order of least feared up to most feared. Have your list of kind of banned foods and then gradually expose yourself to reintroducing those foods into your diet as part of a balanced diet. So whether that be chocolate or biscuits or crisps or bread, that you are allowing yourself to eat these foods and to notice how you feel with them, notice your thoughts and your dialogue around them, and really manage your thoughts that all foods can be incorporated as part of a balanced diet. And the more you allow those types of foods gradually into your diet as part of an overall balanced diet, and you lose the good or bad labelling over it, you get to learn that you can eat these foods, because when it's something that you have choice over, I can choose to eat these foods or choose to not eat these foods, you will feel like you have a much healthier relationship with food and that you are actually the one that's in control as opposed to the food being in control of you. So that is step 4 of tackling your food anxiety. I hope you find that video useful. If you have any questions at all that you want to ask me, please pop them in the comments below. And if you haven't already, please click subscribe to be updated with any future videos that I have. All right, have a great day.